Awesome. All right. Thank you so very much for attending. This is the GGC's off-campus internship program orientation. This orientation is designed to walk you through the various steps needed to go to the next phase, which is to actually onboard your intern in January. So the areas we're going to go over today are just a little bit of, information about important dates, evaluations, time cards, spring break, and things like that. All right. So welcome, of course. So this is the off-campus internship program. The reason it's called off-campus is because you all are a part of two different programs combined into one. Either you are a corporate company or you are a nonprofit. Those are the two that we have grants for. So you fit within either one of those. And from there, you get a chance to be a part of this program. All right, so expectations for orientation. So if you've gotten to this point, that means you have submitted documentation that has been that's appropriate, meaning you have submitted information on your internship opportunities, as well as an internship program plan. So what is your intern planning? You're going to plan for your intern to do during the semester. You've also submitted a onboarding plan of how you plan to onboard your intern or interns. You've also submitted either your 501c3 status, now also verified your business license, your location. So each of you, if you're at this point, you have been basically evaluated based on a rubric to determine that you have an appropriate internship that's going to be beneficial to our students to experience, what it's like working in a particular role or company, in the greater Atlanta area. So as a part of this, we have to evaluate, of course. So you will receive evaluations twice for the spring semester or any semester that you're interning, that you're part of the program. Every semester that a person is a part of it will always receive two evaluations. You'll receive one midpoint. So for spring, you'll receive that around March, and then you'll receive one around the end of April to evaluate your experience, to evaluate the student, to evaluate the program, which will be required for you to complete. So you'll receive those evaluations by email from me or someone on my team. So when those come through, you'll be giving at least a week to complete the evaluation. Now, with the evaluations, this is a great time for you to also conduct your own midpoint check with your student. Some of the questions are going to be based on how your student is progressing through the internship. So it will make sense to kind of center this around your midpoint check and your end of semester check with your intern, so you can really check and see how they're doing. What's going on? Are there any things you need to bring to the college's attention or to the intern's attention? So be mindful that those will happen at midpoint, typically around midterms, as well as the end of the semester, allowing you to check in with us and allow us to see what's going on, that we can step in if we need to. Now, all of you have received communication about the interviews. It was also indicated in all the sign-up information emails that we want to have interviews on one day. However, I know it's going to be very challenging with our schedule, so I may have to have it on multiple days, but I want to keep as many as possible on the 19th. And this is also what the students were asked to adhere to when they sign up for the program. So I'll be sending out emails to everybody probably Monday with your interview date and time and your interviewees. It could be one, it could be three. And we'll also have that confirmed with the student that they're going to be interviewing with you. You can decide, if it's going to be virtual in person. We're recommending that it's in person to get them to see you on campus, and you get to make that first, connection to your potential intern. From there, once you make the offer, as I mentioned in the previous onboarding, that we want you to make an offer. So once you decide that you are going to accept the intern, you need a formal offer letter that's going to be sent to that student for them to accept and sign and send back to you, and I will keep a copy of it. So just know that we are looking for a formal offer letter to be sent to your intern, that will also be sent to me once the intern signs off on it from you and uploads it into Handshake. All students are required to submit an offer letter when they request the internship experience through Handshake. So you're going to kind of do it twice. You're going to sign it physically, but you're also going to be able to do a form, a website link from Handshake, just verifying everything is true. Once that happens and everything is said and done, all the internship experiences are in, signing day will be in November. Right now it's scheduled for November the 3rd. So please mark that on your calendar that it'll be November the 3rd on campus, but I'll also schedule that throughout the day so that everyone isn't here at the same time, but it'll be a short time. It'll be like from 9 to 12. We'll have food, but signing day allows you to take a picture with your new intern or interns, and we'll post those images and captions on our social media. And we encourage you to do the same on yours, and we'll share it. But once you are, the offers are made and everything is good, we'll ask you for your official company logo in order for that to go on the signage on the back screen. It'll be a digital screen behind you and your interns, and you'll take the picture, you'll have some food, get to know each other, and get preparation for your actual onboarding in the spring. Time cards are going to be a little bit tricky because there is no official site for this as of right now. So the way it works is, if you don't know, every student who applies to the program and is matched to an employer and accepts the position will become an official GGC employee as a student assistant, meaning they are our employees and they are spending their time with you as the company to fulfill the internship requirements. So they are an employee of us. So we have to go through and verify their background check, all the things that we would require to do for a student who wants to work on our college campus. However, if there are things that your company needs specifically to onboard that is not included in the normal background check, as well as the application that we have them complete, let me know by emailing me that, hey, I need an additional background check, and I can see if our college can go ahead and absorb that cost for you to get that additional background check. Maybe it's something you need because you're working with children. So if you have anything additional that you need to have the student go through for your company or onboarding, please send that to me as soon as you can to include it in the student's application packet when they're applying to GGC as a student assistant. So time cards will be sent to you, and it's going to be bi-weekly to verify what the student has submitted in the system. So I have to go into our HR system to verify the student submitted time. So the students are going to go through their own orientation. They're going to know that they have to go into our system to verify, to put in their time. I have to verify that against what you submit to say that they're the same. So if there's any discrepancies, I can contact you to say that student X said that they worked 15 hours this week, but you're only showing 10. Where's the extra 5? So that way, the student isn't getting overpaid, or the students aren't exceeding the allowed 120 hours for the internship. Okay, so once I have that set up, once you're in that process, you will receive that information prior to January, so you'll know what to expect and when it comes to time cards. As you know, this is an internship, so students are allowed, the internship allows them to work up to 120 hours a semester, no more than 25 hours a week. Now, keep in mind, these students are also students. They also have class commitments, and if they choose to enroll in an academic credit piece for this internship, they have to then do additional things, such as go to classes with their internship coordinator as a part of the course. So most often students typically work between 10 to 15 hours a week. So that allows them to spread that across the entire semester. Our semester is shorter due to the changes in COVID. I don't anticipate it getting back to its normal length for a while. So we're looking at about 13, 14 weeks versus the traditional 15 to 16 weeks. Also keeping in mind, if you're interning in the spring, there is spring break. If you are hosting interns in the summer, of course, it's shorter. If you're hosting an intern later on in the fall, you have to account for the Thanksgiving break, but I believe we're done in the fall now prior to Thanksgiving. So for spring 2023, keep in mind that there is a spring break, and I believe that is, let me see on the next slide. Yes, so our spring break is March 6th through the 10th. And then, so keep in mind, so the semester begins January 17th. We do not want a student to intern or onboard prior to the 17th or that week, because they're still getting adjusted to classes, dropping, adding classes, and all those things. So we want all students in the internship program for spring to start on January 23rd. So that means every student that is placed with an employer for this spring, your offer letter should start on January 23rd and it should end around April the 14th. So that way it's consistent. They're all starting at the same time, and keep in mind that they're on spring break. Now, if a student comes to you and say that I would like to work during my spring break to build up my hours and make sure I can attain them all before the semester, that's between you and that student. If you do so, totally fine. Just ensure that that student's time does not exceed 120 hours for the internship this semester, because all the students are going to be paid $14 per hour from the college for 120 hours over the course of the semester. So we're going to keep track of that, as well as you and the students. So if they are going to work during spring break, totally fine, as long as you make sure that you account for that as you're building out your semester. As you know, I mentioned interview process, your required documents for onboarding, anything extra that you need to have, let us know. As I mentioned, GGC has an application process, and then I mentioned time cards. The last thing I'll mention is the internship learning agreement. So this agreement needs to be completed with you and your intern the week of their first day. So the internship learning agreement basically is an agreement between you, the student, and the college that's going to talk about expectations. So when you're meeting your student for the first week in onboarding, this internship agreement must be signed by the student, by you, and then the student has to turn it in to me at the college, and I'll collect those. This is going to help us with, all of our legal side and everything else. Now, this is also in addition to, if a student wants academic credit, your company completing an MOU. And I'll reach out to you way in advance if your student is requiring or wants an internship for academic credit. Then they have to do the MOU. If you already have an MOU on file, meaning this term sounds familiar to you, you completed an MOU before, another one isn't required unless yours has expired. And all the MOUs are good for 3 years. So those are the highlights that I wanted to introduce to you all for orientation. Orientation for the employer side isn't as strict as orientation for the student side. I want to make sure that you attend, so I will document who, of course, attended the orientation, but it's not necessarily anything other than just really general information for you to know what to expect. For the student, they're required to go through orientation as well, but it's more aligned, going to go over professionalism, signing in to submit their time, if they're going to be out sick, what do they need to do? If they're going to have to do anything different, how to communicate those changes to you as the supervisor and the company, as well as to me as an internship, as a manager of this program on the college side. So those are the things that I wanted you all to know when it comes to orientation. So I will go ahead and pause here. This is my contact information. You all have my email to answer any questions any of you may have as I go on, as we finish out this. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. That way I can look at any of you and I can also go to the chat to answer any questions. And I do have one. Anka, how do the students apply to the program? The students have already applied. The application is closed. The students have to apply through Handshake. And once they go through Handshake on our end for the college, they go through Handshake, they apply, I review, as my team, we review all the student documents. As I mentioned before, students have to have a specific GPA, recommendation from faculty, resume, transcript, and be able to intern within the greater Atlanta area. Those are all the things that we look for in a student once they apply to the program, to make sure that the employer is getting, you as an employer are getting a student that has everything in line. And feel free to unmute your mic if you have a question. Is there a minimum number of hours per week they must complete? There's not a well, at least 5. We don't want it to be, we want it to be beneficial for you and for the student. So if they're only coming in an hour a week, that's not going to give you any type of benefit. So we want them to at least work 5 to 10. I would say, yeah, maybe 10 hours a week would be the minimum. I've never seen anything come through less than 10 hours a week. If I do, I'm gonna question it. Maybe it's because they had to be out for, you know, I guess a family trip that was planned, you know, a while ago. But this is typically 10 hours a week at the minimum and no more than 25. Anka, I know many students that are looking for interns. Anka, are you an employer or are you faculty?
So I am actually a faculty here at GGC. I am working with Amy Sol for the NGF, a nonprofit, to help her build software for this her organization. So
okay,
I know, like, we have a lot of students that have no idea about this program, and I will
let me stop recording
it to the classes.
This is for the spring, so we will continue to do this for the entire 2023 year. So if you, of course, you can submit again. You can submit again to host an intern for fall or summer. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to qualify, you'll get approved, but you definitely have the ability to submit again. Many of you already know that as it was announced, this is a pilot. So this is the first semester we're doing this, and we're going to continue, but this is truly learning mainly for me as the coordinator, the manager for both these programs and these grants. And then, you know, learning more from you and your feedback on what worked for you, what didn't work, what I can do better. And then from the students, once you get the evaluation, what worked for them, what didn't work, to Uncle's point, you know, how they heard about it and things like that. But the college is really rallying around this program. It has been said in a couple of town halls, as well as through our the newspaper in the area, as well as through our campus email communication. So we're really excited about it. But we want to make sure that you all know as employer hosts, you know, what to expect, when to expect it, to make sure that you are getting the best benefit out of this program that you can possibly have. So with that, do I have any more questions from anybody that I can answer, clarify, or, you know, just address? Okay, well, I'm going to start recording soon, and I can answer questions as well later. I'm going to start recording, that way I can add this to the link, to our YouTube channel. But let me stop that. But thank you all for listening in to this orientation.